Well, we know that Zelenskyy, President Zelenskyy of Ukraine, was in Canada recently, and the Speaker of the Canadian Parliament managed to invite someone he thought was a war hero to be in the chamber at the time. The man was given a standing ovation. His name is Yaroslav Hunka. He is 98. He was introduced as a war hero who fought in the Second World War for the 1st Ukrainian Division. Now, the problem is that he was introduced, as I say, as a war hero. He is a Ukrainian hero, a Canadian hero, and we thank him for his service, said the Speaker. MPs cheered and Zelenskyy raised his fist in acknowledgement as Hunka saluted from the gallery during two separate standing ovations. Now, if you're watching on TalkTV, let's see if we can watch a little bit of this standing ovation. But you can imagine the scene if you're listening on Talk Radio. I mean, it's just the Canadian Parliament. They stand up, they give him a big ovation, they say, "You're a wonderful person." The slight problem is that the 1st Ukrainian Division was also known as the Waffen-SS Galicia Division, or the SS 14th Waffen Division, a voluntary unit that was under the command of the Nazis. Now, the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Centre for Holocaust Studies, who's the kind of leading global institute on this, issued a statement on Sunday saying the division was responsible for the mass murder of innocent civilians with a level of brutality and malice that is unimaginable. Also taking part in that standing ovation, along with President Zelenskyy, was, of course, Justin Trudeau, who would all have us believe that he's a wonderful, liberal, magical, marvellous person. But in fact, he was giving a standing ovation, unknowingly, fair enough, to someone who had fought on the side of the Nazis. Should he apologise? Well, a spokesperson for the Prime Minister's office directed the Canadian press to the office of the Speaker for comment. So he is apparently saying nothing about this. Surely he should just apologise. Mary Dejevsky is Foreign Affairs columnist at The Independent and the doyen of these matters. Hugely embarrassing for Zelenskyy and for the Speaker of the Canadian Parliament, Mary, but also for Justin Trudeau. Surely they should have checked first.
Well, I think it's a reflection of the very, very tangled history of Ukraine and the strength of the Ukrainian lobby in Canada. There's a very comparatively large émigré Ukrainian population that has arrived in Canada. It's been very well established. It's been in Canada for a century and more. And it has a very complicated history, and there are different sort of strands inside the emigration, as has become clear with the response to what happened in the Canadian Parliament.
Yes, it's very interesting that, I mean, historically, Brian Mulroney, who was the Prime Minister in 1985, he called for a Royal Commission at the time to examine whether Canada had become a haven for war criminals at the time. I mean, should they now look more into the background of the man they give the standing ovation to, do you think?
Well, I mean, he's 98 and he's obviously a hero to a certain part of the Ukrainian emigration in Canada. And that particular part of the emigration is mostly the people who arrived after the end of the Second World War, some of whom had fought, like this man, Yaroslav Hunka. They had fought for the pro-German division of Ukrainian armed forces after the Nazi Germans rode into Western Ukraine and occupied it. And if you look at it in the context of the time, then there was a significant number of Ukrainians who collaborated with the German invasion. But one of the reasons they collaborated was because they saw it not just as a conquering army, but as possibly preferable to the Soviet system that they'd been living under since the Bolshevik takeover. So, you know, you've got these two strands here that actually coexist in Ukraine during the Second World War. It's very, very hard to discover, and, you know, I've tried to discover exactly what happened, where, and who did what between 1941 and 1945 in Ukraine. And this, in a way, is a microcosm of those difficulties.
Of how complex it is. Mary, thank you very much. You really illuminated that issue.